Right, let's call this meeting to order and start with the roll call.
Okay, Member Carlton.
Aye.
Member Green.
Aye.
Member One. Member Johnson.
Here.
Member Yi.
Aye.
Chair Shah.
Here.
It looks like Member Yamakan is absent. So,
All right, and with that, we can move on to the land acknowledgement, which I can go ahead and read. The City of Albany recognizes that we occupy the land originally protected by the Confederated villages of Leisjohn. We acknowledge the genocide that took place on these lands and must make strides to repay the moral debt that is owed to this indigenous people, specifically the Ohlone tribe. We thank them for their contributions, which have transformed our community and will continue to bring forth growth and unity. The City of Albany commits to sustaining ongoing relationships with the tribe and together build a better future for all that now make this their home.
okay, so it brings us to the approval of the minutes. This is the first meeting that we've had since September. Welcome back, everybody. And if you have had a chance to take a look at the September 8th minutes, if there's any questions or modifications, I can bring it up for everybody to look at. If not, we'll be looking for a motion and a second to approve these minutes.
I move to approve the minutes from September.
I second that motion.
Okay, with a motion and a second. Member Green?
Aye.
Yeah. Member Carlton? Aye. Member Johnson?
Aye.
Member Yi?
Aye.
Member One?
Aye.
Chair Shah?
Aye.
All right.
Over to public comment.
I don't see anybody here in the physical audience, and nobody's online right now.
Okay. It doesn't look like we have any presentations on the agenda, so we can move straight into 5.1, the murals project.
Yeah, thank you. So I put this on the agenda tonight after talking with the chair, just to wanted to bring it back to the committee for discussion. I should have brought up the state law. Thank you. You memorized it. SB 476 went through the full process in the California state government, and now it looks like we can move forward. Cities can move forward with mural projects without the threat of being sued. I don't know if we talked about this specifically with the entire Arts Committee, but there was a law that existing California law that was treating mural artists as contractors, painting contractors, and was holding mural artists to the same standard as painting contractors in California. So that has been modified. So most mural artists don't carry the same type of insurance indemnity requirements and certifications that a contractor would, a painting contractor would have. So that now that has been resolved at the state level, cities in California can move forward with existing mural projects. So that the mural project for the BART pillars was put on hold for, I guess, a little bit more than a year, as that was worked through. Our previous mural subcommittee, please feel free to jump in at any point if I need if we need to correct any of what I'm saying about the process. But the Arts Committee went through a process with a panel to evaluate a number of artists. I think in total there was probably about 20 artists who had submitted proposals. The panel selected one artist, they accepted, and we were right at the point where we're getting ready to sign the contract for a mural project. Since then, I've been in communication with the artists, and we had some little bit of back and forth during the time of the issue with the state law going through what I'm trying to say, through the process at the state level. Now that the issue has been resolved, I've had one email communication and I've reached out to the artist a couple of times, but I haven't heard back, and I'm not sure if it's because of the holidays or if they're busy. But my intention is to get back on track. So there's a couple of things that we'll be talking about tonight. The moving forward with the existing project, looking at the 3 other locations, figuring out a path forward for doing that in 2026, at least looking at tonight's meeting as the first step of getting a call for artists out, or some communication out to the public about that, and then also beginning also a discussion if the artist decides that they're not able to come back, how does the committee want to proceed? Go back to the other lists of like the top 3 artists and approach them. Go back to the panel, reevaluate an entirely new call for artists. There's a few different pathways depending on what the Arts Committee would like to do. But I figured since we didn't have a lot on the agenda tonight, this might be a good time for the committee to have a conversation about this and maybe give staff some direction for how to come back in January with some concrete plans for how to work through the remainder of the mural projects in 2020.
Well, yeah, it's great news that passed through the legislature and was signed by the governor, or sometimes I think it just passes through without signature. But yeah, so it sounds like for the existing site, we're just waiting to hear back from the current artist. Is there anything that Deirdre or myself can do? Because I'm happy to call people. Every day.
I was thinking that might be, there's not really a role for the committee or the subcommittee once it goes into contract. It would be primarily between staff and the artist to facilitate that. But it might be good, given that so much time has passed, perhaps to have an introductory meeting with the mural subcommittee and the artist on the onset, just to kind of like, hey, we're back at this project, here it's at. I don't know if that'll be a Zoom or in person or meeting on site at the location. That's one of the things that I was thinking about as we were looking to reconnect.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I agree. Keeping up with the previous people, obviously. But I don't see any reason not to do a call out for more artists. I'd like to keep this thing going. But definitely, the people contacted.
Yeah, my assumption at this point is still just, if you've exchanged notes with them in the last few weeks, I assume this is going to move.
I think so. We haven't heard, when we last left it, we were in the final details of the contract between the artist and the city. Once we the city went into contract with the artist, then the first disbursement of funding could move forward, so they could do the design work, the research, and then come back with a proposal to present to the community. Then receive feedback from the community and the Arts Committee, and then that would finally go to council for approval. So it's about a 3-month process from that point forward, which creates it's a pretty good time frame for doing the work next year. So it would likely be in the fall that the work would be happening, summer, fall.
It has to be done by the end of September, or from Bart's perspective.
Right. Jeremy, have you already mentioned to the artists that if the process doesn't kick off right now, that we won't be able to get ink on wall Or
They are aware of that.
they're aware. Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure they have, they are able to operate under the same sense of urgency that, we are able to, or, because we're aware of those timelines.
So when you said the introductory meeting, you would set that up, or can we set this up?
No, that would be something that I would set up.
Okay.
So I've reached out a couple times, but I haven't heard back within these last 2 weeks. So hopefully, maybe by the end of the week, I should, as soon as I hear something, then I'll try and set something up.
Okay.
Sorry, just the art pillars talking about have a time frame.
Art does, yeah. It has to do with everything being sealed before the rain starts. So,
I was in conversation, I had a few conversations. It's been a few months since I talked with Jennifer, the liaison with BART. There may be some flexibility within the September, October timeframe, but that's definitely, we want to have it done by then.
So is there anything else we can do for the current sites, or are we kind of just holding on then the city making an intro and that's it? You want to run another RFP?
I think we would have to. The winners were so far ahead of anyone else.
Yeah, which I think speaks to why, like, if Deirdre and I are also able to just have our own direct conversations with the artists to try and convince them or persuade them to move forward with their current proposal. Because you haven't executed a contract, right, on behalf of the city yet.
Have
So
not.
And we wouldn't talk about contractual issues.
Yeah.
I just
So
want to tell them we're excited on behalf of the arts.
Yeah,
I,
convey our enthusiasm.
yeah, let me talk with our admin staff and see if that's something that, because it might be good too. It might be good to be able to come from, not from a staff
It
perspective.
might,
Yeah.
and,
As like just members of the
Yeah.
community,
Yeah.
which
yeah,
is what we are in other capacity.
Especially since you were involved in the kind of the development of this program, it may be, the city is its own entity. This might be a more human, is for as human as I am, I represent a city.
For the record, I think you're pretty human, Jeremy. Yeah.
Because one of the other hiccups and frustrations, I think, to many of the artists who were part of the original RFP is that because an artist was selected but not officially approved, we haven't been able to send out a notice with a real status, other than we're waiting to hear back from the state, and that an artist has been selected but not approved. So there was a number of artists who were wondering what's happening, and that was really all the information that we could provide, and giving them the same information that we provided to the committee, along the way. This is happening at the state level, and there's really not much that the city can do about it at this point.
So you were not able to tell the other artists that they were not chosen?
Officially, no.
Were you able to tell them in an unofficial capacity?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. And the only reason why this matters to me is just making sure they get some signal, because we are going to have other
There were a couple of,
RFPs we want to run, and we want to make sure that we don't sort of burn.
there were a couple of artists who were annoyed, to put it lightly, in their email correspondence, that that I experienced their frustration with the process and the lack of ability to say something concrete.
Got it. Sure. Yeah, I can't speak to the constraints, but it was probably frustrating on multiple sides.
right.
So,
And so to that point, we may want to consider a notification process and follow up with the next round. This was, a fairly unique situation in terms of wanting to move forward with an artist after an RFP, and then having something like this happen at a state level out of the city's hands. But I think we might want to consider some tweaks to the notification process just along the way for the RFP in a number of ways. So.
sorry, yeah, what do you think we need to tweak?
I think that just trying to think through. Well, when we talk about haikus, there was a couple of things I noticed in terms of some of our procedures within the scope of the RFP, making sure that everybody has the correct information from the beginning, and then at the end, in terms of by the time that I'm just trying to I think thinking out loud right now.
Okay.
Maybe I'll stop thinking out loud and think
Yeah.
quietly for a minute, and then come back with
Yeah, was it a legal issue to tell them that they were not selected? Like, what was the actual?
Well, the actual issue is the council did not approve it. Because council does not approve a public arts project like that until it comes before them.
So, is there any way we could have gotten it to council earlier?
No, because it needs to go through the public viewing first. So essentially, the steps are that the artist is engaged in a contract. They come up with a design, because the committee is not selecting a design; it's selecting a concept, right?
Yep.
And so the design work, the city is not going to pay for the design work for all of the artists to come up with a fully elaborated design. So that design only happens once the contract is enacted with the city, and then it goes to a public viewing for consideration. And then once the committee receives the public feedback, is able to look at that and then the committee can provide feedback to the artist, then, and only then will it be forwarded to council, either with the committee's recommendation or with the recommendation to make some changes, and then the council decides. And so once the council decides, that's when the artist is officially selected to move forward with the project.
Are there, that's a lot. Are there disclaimers along the way to kind of like keep us all protected? Let the artists know it's like, yes, but no, maybe, I don't know.
Not as such. It's a fairly straightforward process. However, it can be. How do I want to say? Not necessarily disclaimers along the way, but we were very clear with the artists. I think maybe we need to be even more clear with the artists about exactly what the process is going to be when they submit their application, so that there's a real clear understanding and of how the process moves forward with the city.
Is there anything we can do? I mean, how clear were the unofficial communications? Were you able to just say, you have not been chosen by the ad hoc panel that was?
Yes.
Okay. So that sounds like it was pretty clear then.
But it always came with a caveat that because of the legislation, it was not able to move forward to council for council to officially approve the artist. But I did say that an artist was selected by the panel.
Yeah. Got
Okay.
it. Got it. Okay. Yeah, do you have any thoughts on how we might be able to have like maybe statuses or something.
I mean, I wonder if, and maybe this came up with the haiku project, I don't know, but like if we could, say, oh, your application has been received. Oh, your application.
We do have that capacity now with, because this also started at the same time where we transitioned to a new website. And there were some things that we did not have ready, which we do have ready now, that would make for a better form and application experience as opposed to uploading a PDF. So we can create some workflow statuses with something that's coming into the city. The reason I brought up the haiku is that there were certain aspects of in the city standards of content that we applied to the public art for the mural program that we didn't apply to the haiku in the same way, in terms of the types of things that could be considered or not considered, or content or naming and people and businesses and that kind of stuff, which was very clear in the mural project, but we didn't apply that to the haiku project, which probably frustrated some people, when we had to not use some of the poems that were submitted. So on the onset, we could probably do more on the front end to make sure people are very clear about the process and the notifications for how somebody finds out about what their status is. And I could see some communications, from a staff level and from the committee level, so that committee members know exactly how to notify, and we set that all up in advance, so it's all very, very clear. So we don't step over each other in communications and make it seamless for the public.
Is that something that could be across the board? Because I feel like a lot of the gallery artists never hear back. They don't hear anything.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So it'd be nice just to have like kind of a standard, like the mural thing. It's like, sorry, you weren't chosen for this time. Please reconsider proposing something else, blah, blah, blah. But it'd be nice, I think, for all the art stuff we do, if we had kind of a...
Yeah, and I don't want to get too far away from the agenda item on here, but I think the communications is something that we can kind of tie up at a staff level with some input from the committee for maybe some language or suggesting a time frame, and that's certainly something that I could put up onto a future agenda if we want to determine where are all the points of contact for communicating with the public about various arts projects in Albany, and what are the standards that we want to maintain for the city. That'd certainly be something that I think could be suggested for a future agenda item, where the committee can really discuss that, and maybe even create a subcommittee to, we've had a communication subcommittee, but it was more about outreach, specific to social media, and I don't know if that's, necessarily need to do that, but I think certainly giving clear guidelines and timeframes to the public and then following through would make my life easier too.
So is that something we need to actually create a subcommittee to do, or?
Not necessarily. I think it probably would start with an agenda item at a future meeting where we can, or
One approach might be, I think, instead of creating a subcommittee for this, I might suggest, I think we are the arts committee for like the next year, is that each of us just kind of carries this in our head, and for each of the projects that we are implementing, that we are just, going into each project, we're leading with a bit of a critical eye, thinking about what is the artist's experience and making sure that everyone's getting the guidelines that are needed. I can tell you for the Fall into Haiku, I submitted a poem that talked about brown cap because I like their soft serve, which is a violation of public art. Even as chair of period, they're done.
Pretty sure, yeah, they're done.
Okay, well,
So now it could be.
now my heart's broken even more.
Dexter could re-examine your application.
Yeah.
And send you some communication about it.
Yeah. Anyways, so I think, yeah, if as chair of the arts committee, I'm kind of missing the guidelines, then
Yes.
you can imagine, yeah,
The-
public too.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that is actually something that Arts Committee meetings don't necessarily have to just be talking and considering. We could actually get down to work and come up with those plans during a meeting, so that you don't have to do it outside of your time with the Arts Committee. It doesn't have to be a separate meeting with the subcommittee. It can be done here within the 2 or so hours that the committee meets. Just hammer it out in a meeting.
Board with that.
But bringing it back to the murals project, there is going to be a month between now and the next meeting in January. I don't want this to delay too much, but there is also the idea of getting started with the other 3 sites in 2026. And what that means, whether or not you want to roll them out one by one or consider all 3 at the same time. There might be, or potentially 4 at the same time. I'm not quite sure. I don't want to say that just yet, because I was fairly excited about the particular proposal that came from this collective that we're looking at for the Bart's Pillars. I think it looked pretty good. However, I think we need to make some contingency plans.
Yeah. What I might suggest is, I think we should maybe wait a month until our next committee meeting to see if we need to do anything else about that existing site. I have a feeling people might just be tied up with the holidays or something else. In the meantime, maybe the city can introduce Deirdre and myself to them, and we can just help convey our excitement and try to build some momentum kind of independently. If that sounds reasonable, Jeremy, then.
Yeah, I was thinking that it might be nice just to meet on site,
Sounds great.
as opposed to a Zoom meeting or coming into City
Yeah.
Hall.
That's great.
And that was
That
like,
was great. I'd love that.
Yeah.
And then separately for the other sites, tell me, I think we can go as fast
Yeah.
as the city can go
I mean,
on our side.
We can, I think the first step would be that we confirm the sites, which you and I have already talked about a little bit.
Yeah, just, it's been a couple years since we've
Yeah.
talked to the property owners and they're, yeah.
Yeah, before we put out the request. So, but we felt after the last round that because the 3 are similar in that they're on flat walls, that if there's a way to, because like one person could theoretically apply for all 3. So like if we just do one request, but have it be a checkbox, well, that doesn't work actually because all the themes are different.
Yeah, the themes are different. I think they'd have to be separate processes.
Yeah, they would have to be separate.
We have to write like RFPs and the theme.
it won't, we have a good model for an RFP from the last one. There were some specifics to working with BART that would need to be changed, but in terms of creating that, I can't remember, did the Arts Committee create a murals subcommittee again this last round? Yes.
Yeah, we have a murals, I think we do.
I don't know, actually.
Oh, did we not create one?
That was 2 of you.
Well, yeah,
It was, but I don't know if this last year, I'll have to go back and
I don't know if we actually made
look at the records for this
because
year.
when we started this year, the
One was in place and it was done.
well, when did the government start discussing?
That was at the end of 2024.
So that was the beginning of our term.
Right.
Oh,
So I think ever since we've been on this committee,
Yes, I think it's
it's been on hiatus.
correct. Yeah, that's what I think. So I think there will need to be a new mural subcommittee that's created.
Oh, we can,
But that can be done in January because I can't remember. I want to go back and look at the records and
Yeah.
make sure that it wasn't already done. Yeah.
Okay, so we can't, in the meantime, the Albany Murals Project, we can continue talking about it conceptually as a project, given that it's an ongoing one.
can't we
part of
just, as private citizens, go talk to the owners
Yes.
of the building? Thank you.
Okay.
Heaven forbid you do that as a private
Okay,
citizen.
so maybe we can have that by the next
So,
try.
yeah,
have
and
that.
Jeremy, on the city side, is the city comfortable with if we would we be in a place to run 3 RFPs at the same time if we needed to?
That's one of the things that we've talked about. I think that was the intention, is that we would do 3 at the same time.
Okay, great.
It's kind of scalable. Whether or not staff would be able to administer all of those, I think we have some new processes on the back end for receiving content, which should make our lives easier. This actually would be a good test run of a new forms tool and a new application process that should work better for uploading content and delivering.
So it sounds like maybe between now and January, Deirdre and I can speak with the property owners, which includes AUSD for one site and then 2 private owners for the other sites. Confirm the themes. And then is there anything else? And let them know that we're going to try and get this process going in 2026 with, I assume the goal would then be to get, I keep saying ink, I don't even know what kind of material, some material on wall in 2027.
Yeah, I think that is that is realistic, and I think that would probably be the best path forward. Yeah.
That's great. Okay.
I have a question about the themes. Why were they dictated? Why can't we just allow artists to propose something and then, like the gallery, we decide whether or not it's appropriate?
I think it has something to do with, I think that was the city's request.
I think that also had to do with the property owners, so that they would have because right, because it wasn't going to be. Remembering back, the rationale was that the property owners wouldn't sit in on a panel to decide, and so we wanted to create some guidelines and some form for what they could potentially receive on their building. That was the idea, to give a certain amount of direction that was appropriate and of interest to the property owner. So I think double checking those themes with the property owners. Mind you, that this is a somewhat different process than doing murals on city property, where the city could decide and receive based on, or if somebody wanted to just go directly to a property owner and paint a mural on the wall, there's not really any stipulation to prevent.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that makes sense. I would hope the property owner approves it, so that would make sense.
Well, ultimately, the contract ends up being a sort of pseudo 3-way contract between the city, the artist, and the property owner. So if the property owner doesn't eventually like what is going to go on their wall, they would just not execute the contract.
Right.
So they have some say.
No, that totally makes sense.
Yeah, how does that sound, Jeremy? Anything else that we might be missing for the other 3 sites? Or does that
no,
sound
I think what we'd want to do is take another look at the RFP, make any adjustments, look at the timeframes. So when we come back in January, okay, so if the RFP is done in February and give it a month and a half, 3 months to go out, to receive those, look at the panel. Will the panel meet 3 times for 3 different projects, or meet once and for all projects? Is the stipend appropriate for the panel? Will it be the same people? Will it be different people? Is there, pros and cons for, and then look at those timeframes for the entire year, and figure out how that's going to work. I think this was more or less the time that it started for the last one a couple years ago, but it would be really great to actually do something.
We're with you.
Yeah.
I think we'll have thoughts on all those things, and we can probably give quick answers now about, like, hey, same panel seems simple, meet 3 times, so it's a bit more nimble, frankly, than, because somehow if RFP timelines don't end up lining up for whatever reason. So, yeah, I think we can get those answers for some of those questions pretty quickly. But yeah, in the meantime, Jeremy, do you want to share the final RFP like document file with Deirdre and myself, and maybe we can start to redline it?
Yep. The other thing too for the committee to consider, and we may bring this up, after we do public comment, but if we're going to do the sculpture RFP at the same time, and how does that impact any of what the committee's work is or what staff's work is over the course of 2026 and 2027? Do they align? Do we do it all at the same time, or does one get staggered? What's the priority, et cetera?
Okay.
I was wondering if I could ask what exactly an RFP is. I have
Yeah,
a pretty good
sorry.
idea, but
It's a good question. It's a request for proposals.
okay.
Yeah, it's actually just you put out a request for proposals. That could be in any context, business context, or in this case, we're talking about we're putting out a request for proposals for public art. But you might also do that for, Jeremy might do that for new software for the city, for example.
So on the city's website, this was the Albany Murals project here, description. This would be essentially we'd have to figure out how we want to present this to the public. This is location 1, eligibility, how to apply, and deadline. This is where there's an application checklist. I think, where did we actually put this? I think there's the process for. Oh, I took it off the website. I thought that I might have the old RFP to be able to bring it up, but essentially it's a document that has all of this information here and a form that you fill out, so that everybody is submitting the same criteria, and then it all gets turned in by a specific deadline, and then that goes to in this case a panel to review. And then they make the selection based on some metrics of evaluating the proposals, and then that came back to the committee to decide the finalists or the top 3. In this case, it was 1.
Okay, cool. Wait, who's the panel for this?
You want to. I think there was a selection, much in the same way that the Fall into Haiku selected people from the community. There was I think you had an educator on there and arts committee members. In this case, it was the former chair of the arts committee, who is a arts professor at San Francisco State. It was the woman from Ceramics,
Cassidy Linden.
and then another
Eugenie Sue, who's
Eugenie
a
Sue,
community member, who
community member
organized
and artist
Coachella and
Right.
has organized various shows in East Bay. And Aaron
Gatch, that's right.
Aaron Gatch, who is a professor at the California College of the Arts and former chair of the Arts Committee.
Okay, very cool. Nice.
Isn't that basically an RFP right there that you're showing?
Yeah, basically. I was just looking for the actual file.
Okay.
Anyone have any other questions about the murals project?
Get more.
Let's get more. Yeah, let's get one.
All right, then.
Thank you, Jeremy, for helping push this forward. And
So we should open it for public comment, even though I don't see anybody here and there's nobody in the virtual audience. But now that we've opened it up for public comment, is there any other further discussion?
Why does nobody love us? I have nothing.
all right, on to the next item. fall into haiku subcommittee.
All right. Yeah, go
All
ahead.
right. Okay. I might as well just give an update since we last met. As hopefully you all probably know, the haiku are up around Albany. Me, Sabrina Madison, and Kimberly Pierce, a community member who volunteered, spent the last weekend putting them all up. We have 54 in total. We put, of course, them on Solano, at Memorial and Terrace Parks, at the Dartmouth Tot Lot, along Key Route and the Greenway, at the Bulb, Albany Hill, one in front of City Hall, and Ocean View and Marin. So, since our September meeting, the application the submission form was open from September 15th to October 15th, so for about a month. Jeremy put the form on the webpage and with an FAQ page and put an announcement in the weekly city newsletter. So that was helpful. We created a promotional postcard that we distributed around town. Shout out to my friend Michael Richards for his help with the graphics on that. And the InDesign. When the deadline closed, Jeremy shared the final submissions with me, and then me, Sabrina Madison, and Mr. Nielsen, Jeffrey Nielsen, a honors English teacher at Albany High, went through kind of individually at first and rated them all with like a little 1 to 5 rubric or 0 to 5 rubric. And then I kind of sorted them based on our ratings, and then we met and discussed and picked the final haiku. I think we picked 60. And then the city then designed and created the final file that I sent to the printer. There was a little miscommunication. We realized that we can't put in like businesses and a couple other things. So I think maybe we took out like 5 haiku. Most of the people took it like well. There's just a couple were a little, frustrated, but I think they'll survive.
Sorry to put you in that position.
No, it's okay. Yeah. And so then we put them up, and I created a map with all the haikus around town and shared it last night with everyone so that they can find them. And it was super cool to get everyone's responses. I could tell that this program is really well loved. It was pretty gratifying to see. And so just a couple numbers. I think we got 71 submissions, or 71 people submitted, but some people submitted multiple. So I think we got about 125 haiku in total submitted, and then ended up being 54 haiku printed. And we tried to pick the best one per person, and then went from there. And we tried to include a diversity of ages. And then now we're thinking of picking them up at maybe the end of January. Is that what we decided? It was.
I think they can be up. I'll have to go back and look, but there is a specific city ordinance for how long they can stay up, and I can't remember if it's 60 days or 90 days. So.
Okay. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I'll reach out to you about that so we can have a vague date.
I think I sent that to you. It's in it was forwarded from the city clerk, but I'll verify it.
Okay, cool.
I can resend it too.
Thank you. All right. I wanted to say thank you to Jeremy and the city team who helped with the website and the graphics. Creating the graphic design was very helpful. It would have been honestly a pain to get done otherwise, and I thought it looked really good. Also for helping to answer any questions that I had along the way. it was super helpful.
Well, I'd also say thank you, Dexter, to you and to everybody who, kind of worked on this, because this is one of the few things that actually the Arts Committee was able to pull together, over, and to Harsh and Deirdre's point for being here for a long time and being able to see something actually happen. And it wouldn't have happened without you bringing it back. So, and I think looking at, there was one of the Albany Facebook groups that I kind of get pinged when things are mentioned. Somebody was complaining on Facebook that, where are the poems? I haven't seen them yet, and that was the very day that you guys were out there putting them up.
Aw.
Yeah, I tried to keep up with the communication.
So then I looked at the comments, because really any of the delays were for them going up were really on our end as we finalized the design and then work out the details with the printer and get them signed up as a vendor. There was a couple of things on the back end that Dexter and the team were all kind of really on the spot for doing everything. So really appreciate it.
They look great.
Yeah,
too.
you guys did a great
I have
job.
to say,
Perfect, I'm glad.
I didn't notice them until today, and then
Okay.
I noticed them all.
Yeah,
It's like, that's really cool.
yeah.
And we live off of Key Route if you need another space.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, this is one of the questions I had to ask Jeremy. Like, if we could put them on private property with permission of the owner. Turns out it would probably just be too much of I'm not exactly sure why, but we weren't allowed to do that, which was fine since there was plenty of city space to put
Welcome
them
to
on.
the city.
Yeah.
But,
So.
it would have been cool.
Yeah, if that's the case, we'll explore that for next time. This looks like this is something that is going to be an annual project. Community Foundation really came through for funding a part of it. The city picked up, what the Community Foundation wasn't able to do, and all in all, it's a lot of labor, but it's not a big expense, and I think it's well worth the investment of time and effort to make it happen.
All right, I have a few more thank yous. Thanks to Harsh for helping to keep an eye on the project and just helping out when requested. Yeah, it's helpful to have you by my side. And then thank you to the ACF, especially Peggy McQuaid, for helping to fund the printing. And thanks to Kimberly Pierce. She emailed me a couple months ago about the time when we were reviewing the haiku, asking if we needed help for reviewing the haiku, and then she also offered to help put them up. We'd actually just finished the reviewing, so we didn't need help on that. But she was still open for putting them up, and she put up about 15, so that was nice of her. And my last thank you is a special shout out to Peter Goodman for meeting with me about 6 months ago to explain the project and how it's done. He gave me very detailed directions, and that was super helpful, and also answered a few questions along the way as well. So yeah, I think that's everyone. I hope I didn't forget anyone, but I'm really glad.
We should ask a SUCOM copy.
Oh, right, yes. There's one. Yeah, thanks to SUCOM Printing and its owner, Kumar, for doing a great job with the yard signs. In my opinion, I think they turned out pretty well. And I think they'll outlast the rain as well. The material feels good. So, yeah. Yeah, now I think that's everyone.
Sounds like an Academy Award
Yeah, right.
speech, but
Time to play out some music, yeah.
yeah, exactly. But to kind of reflect on what has been said, that's a project that I really did think was going to sort of die when Peter left the committee, and I think it kind of brought me a lot of joy to see it revived with a lot of initiative and momentum behind it. And it's the sort of thing I think all of us have sort of seen in the Arts Committee, that like, unless you throw your weight behind a specific thing, it will not get done, because processes can be long, right? Just by the nature of trying to get things done. And so, yeah, I mean, thank you, Jeremy, for just helping kind of push things along. I was included on all the email traffic, which was super helpful just for me to be able to see how things are moving along. But, big shout out to all of you who actually ran the project. You all were organized. There was just a lot of energy in pushing things forward. And I walked by mine today and took a photo with it because I was proud of it. So I think in the same way, whether you're someone that's contributed to the project or you're someone who is just walking around seeing what other people have contributed, you're going to bring a lot of joy to a lot of people in the city. And so that's special. I hope you all are proud.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah, I agree. I think it looks great. As soon as I saw the first one, I had to stop and see all of them.
Yeah, you can. I think Jeremy's putting the map on the website. soon.
I did not see all of them.
Oh, you
a
can go
lot.
find, do a little,
That is a lot.
little hunt.
That's amazing.
But yeah, I'll definitely put in the details of who's what number. But I think yeah, technology is great.
Anything else on the fallen haiku?
Oh, we can open it for public comment. Actually, we don't usually take public comment on the updates individually. We can save that to the end, or there's nobody here and there's nobody in the virtual audience, so.
Yeah, we can save till the end. Over to the sculpture subcommittee. Jeremy, were there any updates on how things passed through
Going back, it's
council?
the PAPP was accepted.
Oh, great.
What the Arts Committee proposed is moving, yeah, so that was on consent, I think, at the second meeting in November, so that passed. What we were kind of talking about at a staff level is that we might want to look at adding additional funds to that. There is some room with the in the total arts fund that should something come up specifically in terms of the repair, that we would just need to go back to council and add if there's another $10,000 that are needed to repair the heron sculpture, that can be dealt with when it comes up. That was kind of the idea, that I think that this gives enough room to be able to move forward with the actual sculpture purchase, which likely would be more expensive than just buying a sculpture from the sculpture loan program. If something is created, either specifically for the space, or, we'll have to look at that in terms of the RFP process for that arts project. So, in terms of what the scope is for creating something for that particular pad.
Do we currently have an RFP for sculpture?
No. Well, Emily created something, Emily and Melanie created something at the end of their tenure, so I've got a starting point that I can share with the new sculpture subcommittee, and then look at that in conjunction with the RFP from the murals project, because the murals project was finalized after the RFP, the draft RFP for the sculpture program was. So it'll take a little bit of time to put those two together and kind of learn, apply what has been learned from the call for artists, and then for fall into haiku. And
Do we currently have a sculpture committee?
yes,
We do.
yeah.
That.
Okay, so we've got a pad, we've got some budget, which is great. And now it looks like we just need to move forward with an RFP. So,
Right.
Jeremy, if you want to,
I'll send
you send that to.
I'll send you what the document that was created at the same time that I send you the previous RFP.
Okay.
Be some sort of merging of those documents as a starting point, bringing that back to the committee, and then deciding when we'd like to put out that call for artists.
Yeah, that sounds good. And
It could be a busy 2026.
in all of the best ways, as long as, we're not creating too much of a burden on city staff. I think that's, obviously the obvious.
The burden will be when they all come in.
Yeah.
It won't be a burden until then.
Yeah. But yeah, Deirdre, does that sound good? If we get the RFP, then we can set that up for the sculpture ceremony as well. Okay, sounds good. Okay, over anything else? Anyone have questions about sculptures or? No. And then it sounds like for that maintenance budget item, maybe we'll tackle it next year. We can get
Yeah,
back on.
I let Public Works know that we do have a budget for an assessment, so that will likely be something that comes out in terms of hiring a contractor to do a safety inspection. That could be some amount of money to really, if somebody is hired to come out specifically to do an evaluation, to report back and to give a price. I don't know if they'll be able to get a quote without paying for an evaluation. So we'll see.
Okay, got it. Okay, great. Over to the gallery.
That would be me. The gallery is set for 2026. I'm waiting on one more confirmation, and it's scheduled until Q4. So I'm not worried about it. I met with Jules Coblin yesterday. Very excited. She's already set to go. The other artist right after her is confirmed. Susan Moffett.
We're kind of handling that.
Yeah, you're kind of you're dealing with that. And let me know if you need my help. But yeah, the gallery's going great. Please, people, go view it. It's at the library, community center, and the current show is very nice. Lisa Rose, animator, artist. It's all good. That's all I'm gonna say.
The other call for artists will happen in the springtime in 2026 for 2027 for your gallery. Something to kind of keep in mind. If there's any other changes, I'm assuming that 4 artists per year, 1 per quarter, is probably a pretty good format.
That's a fairly classic time frame. 3 months.
The other things that have been discussed in the past about that are whether or not to do group shows or coordinating with high school for a youth show.
That's all open. I mean, absolutely. And I know Lisa Rose, who's currently showing right now, is interested in doing a workshop. So I'm not totally clear where to direct her for that. I
Kind of exists
Send her to
outside,
you.
yeah. To doing a workshop in the center of the foyer is a little bit more of a challenge to do without being an official part of the program. But it's something that I think could be useful, maybe even in lieu of or in addition to the gallery reception. Perhaps an artist talk or a workshop could be something that would be of community interest, and that's something that we could program in one of the classrooms or in the foyer. It's something that would need to be planned, and we have to work out. There's a lot of different moving pieces for the library, days, community center, activities, classes, night, morning, weekends. There's some logistics to work out. I'm not sure that it will happen for this one specifically, but I think it's an interesting proposal.
And it doesn't have to happen during her show necessarily. And she's totally open to doing one of the side rooms. Doesn't have to be in the foyer.
So let me look back at, we've been, one of the things that I'll talk about it in a second, but we've had, one of the reasons I haven't been that responsive in these last few weeks is we just transitioned the entire city from .org to .gov email addresses and updated every single user's account. And in the way that modern technology and IT works, everything is connected to a user profile. So every application, that every connection, every bit of storage capacity, everything that you, all of your logins. So that's what I've been thinking about for the last month or so. So I apologize. Now that that is done, I can get back to Lisa. Yeah.
Sorry, that's it for the gallery, unless anybody has any questions. All right.
Chair, I think we could open up for public comment and see if there's any public comment. And nobody is here yet. So that's it.
Okay, with that, move over to announcements, and as part of that request for future agenda items.
Yeah, so so that was essentially my announcements. There's a couple things. You know, the city is now all officially .gov. We transitioned to .gov with the new website in the spring, and now all users are .gov, and now it's just a matter of getting caught up for all of, you know, it was probably 95% successful in terms of making that transition easily. We're focusing on some external communications. Every single business card now needs to be updated. Every single bit of text on the website that used to say .org is all, unfortunately, that's a manual process on the 300 or so pages, you know, going through and changing every .org to .gov by typing the text. So there's not really so those are the different kind of things. So the reason I mentioned that is we have also, we have launched a new forms and communications tool within these last couple months that we'll be bringing online next, probably in January or February, where the public will start seeing it on the website in order to be able to receive applications, communications, forms, and surveys in a very efficient way where it can come to staff and we don't have to tell people to compile a PDF. You wouldn't believe how much trouble we had on the RFP with people, or even with the gallery application, people just trying to put images into PDFs in the right way. So we have now the capacity to receive, okay, here's a form with 10 JPEGs and a video file and your application filled out and some if-then, you know, if you want to do this, then it comes up with more information that you could fill out. So basically a modern forms and survey tool that we'll incorporate into our website, which will make our outreach and communications that much easier. And I anticipate for the RFPs that the Arts Committee does, it'll make a significant difference in terms of people's ease of having a good experience when they go to the website to submit their stuff. I think it'll be much better. The other announcements that I have is just to thank you all for a great year, even though we missed a few meetings along the way. It's been a good time with this group. I'm looking forward to the next year of your term. This has been a very good group, and that was just my announcements of. This has been a good year for the Arts Committee, so thank you all.
Thank you, Jeremy. Yeah, I echo what Jeremy said. It feels like the meetings have been pretty productive and have we've gotten a lot done in just over an hour. So looking forward to more efficient meetings. And the reason why some of the meetings haven't happened this year is because Jeremy and I often look at the agenda and say, does it really make sense to have a meeting, or we just take a few things offline? And Dexter and the team kept the haiku project moving in the background, so we didn't have to meet it. So saves everyone some time.
I feel like we have to spend more money.
You feel like we have to spend more money working on
Get that
it?
sculpture, get those murals, do it all.
Could be a big 2026. So hopefully we.
Hopefully, yeah. It sounds like it's moving, so it's great.
And then are there any specific agenda items? Maybe it's addition of a subcommittee, depending on what you find.
Yeah, I most likely, because if I recall, that was something that wasn't created the last time the committee met to create subcommittees. So we'll want to, the Arts Committee will want to and need to create a mural subcommittee to move forward with these next three locations. Talked a little bit about looking at the outreach. I think that could probably be handled within a meeting, so maybe we agendize that for the January meeting, either to do that discussion, and I think that would be more of a practical work session where the committee looks at the different types of outreach and then establishes some timeframes. I think especially to the gallery, how do we contact when do we send out a thanks but no thanks? Creating that language, should that come from staff? Should it come from the gallery manager? What makes the most sense? And then having regular reminders if it's something that I need to do to make sure that I do it, right? And I think with the RFP outreach, making sure that the committee addresses as many issues on the front end within the expectations of a particular project, so that it's all very clear for whoever's applying. That there is, and maybe that's looking at the existing process and then coming up with, these are the timeframes, and I'm not sure, and I can't remember if that's all really well addressed in the RFP, based on this last experience, how to make it very clear to somebody who's applying what to expect. You know, in most instances, I think you can resolve a lot of potential issues if you're very clear from the outset. And those are things that anything else that we missed or that need to be looked at at the January meeting?
No, the only thing I would say is I think for that discussion around timelines and process, I still think instead of having us approach it kind of hypothetically across all of them, I think it might be simpler to for each subcommittee to be aware of what are the goals that we're, which is like to be communicative to back to the artists and making sure we're checking in every step of the way versus trying to solve it top down for every subcommittee. I'm afraid we might just get into it.
Good point. So maybe it is something that's better worked out at the subcommittee level and then coming back to the committee.
Although I think in general, like, have a template, whether it's one that we did before that had the
Murals one?
yeah, then everyone would be. I think
So
that
maybe it starts there, because I'm going to send what we currently have to you for this next project. Then maybe within the scope of the conversation about the murals project, this can be addressed and looked at and then see where it applies to the others.
Yeah.
Might be the easiest way to come at it, looking at what's in front of the committee first.
yeah, because I mean, there's so much turnover just by nature of it being.
Yeah.
Like, I think that Harsh and I spent a lot of time on the RFP. I would hate to see like someone reinvent the wheel just because we're not here to say, look at this, you know?
I do have a template for the gallery, for like, yes, we love you. No, we don't. Please apply again. Unfortunately, I don't get the names of those people we don't want to show. So, but I do have those. Those are committed, written by Emily, I think. Very generic. They're very nice. I could share those with you guys if you want. I don't know if that.
Well, I mean, it's been, yeah, potentially. The only question is, I think for the murals project, I think it's been Jeremy who's been communicating directly with the folks who've applied. So I don't know if it's maybe having you share it directly with.
Probably, yeah, probably share it with me and then I can share it back with
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Because
But we don't want to get too much into the.
Yeah, we're already talking
'cause
about the
the-
agenda.
Talking about it, as we're talking about the agenda, but we can address that. We can address that. Left this off here, looking at the looking at the calendar for, just bring up here, for January, just want to make sure, always want to be mindful of people's travel plans and whatnot. The second meeting, or the second Monday in January is the 12th. Does that still work for everybody? Nobody's still continuing their holiday excursions? Monday, January 12th, yeah, okay. Then that takes us to an adjournment, yeah, at 8:12. All right. Thank you all very much for another great Arts Committee meeting, and have a wonderful holiday season.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Quick plug for Ocean View Brew Works that's going to be holding a holiday event on 12/14, and I will be selling prints there in case anybody wants to get a beer and a hot dog or a coffee, whatever.